There is no point in rationalizing with people that are so lost in their own programming that isn't even their own to begin with, because they cannot see this. For those that have made it to this point of impact, being ruled by the heart versus a corrupted by design mind, well done. But this is only the beginning of the real steps back into a magical reality. We have been well indoctrinated in fear, so don't be too put off every time you get that tinge of doubt as you continue forward into a long-lost wisdom. Those tinges are merely indicators of still running programs that need to be destroyed. The only reason one feels they cannot do something is because we've been told from the get-go that things like levitation and flying were impossible, and we bought it. Try telling someone that they can change the world with but a thought, and they will cringe in fear and self-doubt, like good little robots. I use these tinges to show me what I still need to push through, as painful as it seems to be at times. No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. That's with the K, by the way. We've long been controlled by fears, and that everything becomes an imagined mountain from molehills, and why most cannot accept responsibility for their actions, with all the scenarios of what if going fractal in their minds. They grow the fear so big in their own minds they soon forget how small it was to begin with. The reason why people refuse to confront these things is because they cannot accept responsibility of harming another, and will do everything and anything to never face this in their own mirrors, let alone you as the constant reminders. Of course, people that have stolen from me cannot confront me, because that means looking in a mirror they are terrified of. The irony is, until one does, they will be trapped in their own mirror, just like how one traps any demon. Consider those in your life that you don't want to face, and you'll see what I mean. If one is thinking in a physical effect sense, one is blind to spirit, and as a result, will be powerless due to your consent draining your life source away, literally. Fortunately, there are many more now that are beginning to see the very things I've been talking about for a long time. They, like me, have difficulty conveying what they know to those that cannot see this yet, and why I love conversing with those on the true road. Again, the road is narrow, and few shall find it, while even fewer who do find it haven't the balls to walk it out fully, and resort to attacking those that do, in a futile attempt to empower themselves this way, which is pure delusional thinking. Everyone loves to hate a winner, eventually, and it's simply the ego striving for a better survival by trying to defeat someone or something that appears stronger than them. This is the poisonous nature of competition, and it's the only program the ego knows. The ego is finite and only seeks the highest level of creature comforts it can get to satiate all physical lusts that many call needs. Besides, what part of "you're on a suicide mission anyway" aren't people getting that keeps them in mortal fear and distracted from their infinite soul nature? If you're stuck in the physical mind, you're already dead at some point. So my best advice is to get your living on, eh? The only difference with living is that it's immortal, unless you like boxes, holes, funerals, fear, etc. Every ancient teacher said the same thing, and I continue this tradition with the statement of "the truth shall set you free," and I am unyielding in this stance. Only when one gets to this crossroads and finally and ultimately decides to stand in truth, come what may, will one be given the glimpses of the truly supernatural aspects of the universe. Truth is hidden from those without eyes, because of what has happened due to those that had this knowledge before the wisdom to wield it, in the same way that one cannot expect good outcomes from a child with a flamethrower in a playground. This is exactly the hierarchy system we are dealing with, and people wonder why wars exist. Seriously? The point is very simple, as is the answer, yet so very few are willing to take that final step to freedom, and it's all based in the programmed fears within the ego entity itself. It's not you. It's the program. A spiritual being can only be duped in doing things against will, because the true spirit is one of benevolent creation and playfulness. The system psychos use tools like fear, pain, guilt, and enslavement to control the programs that control you, because they can never control you otherwise. Remember, this game is all about contract, and what one agrees with, one is in full contract with on both physical and spiritual levels. What exactly does an infinite and immortal being have to fear but the programmed nature of fear itself? Once people see the absolute separation of physical ego and the real you, then they will be led into the halls of Amenti, as it were. We have long blinded to our magical nature, so removed from our consciousness that the very mention of this to the majority will find them running and screaming, which only proves this most destructive of separations from the true self and all. You may experience fleeting moments of this as you walk more and more in truth, and these moments will appear when you need them most. There is no need to seek proof from others, because only you can experience your particular reality. Can I tell you what your experience is? Or is that only something you know and are certain of? I cannot prove that you are real in the same way that you cannot prove that I am. So be mindful in the wisdom, trust no one, trust only self. When one trusts only self, the attraction of the right energies follows suit. The synchronicities get multiplied to a crazy rate, and your knowing of self is continually strengthened as this truth snowball soon becomes the avalanche that destroys every system bluff, leaving you an untouchable spiritually and thus physically as well. In the best way to share this, you literally become bulletproof. Things that once had you in fear and doubt dissolve as the illusions they are. This is where the veil is pierced, never to repair itself. There is only one thing that connects us to the system, and one thing only. There is only one thing that grants any and all consent the system needs and desperately tries to keep hidden behind veils of legal chaos, designed to keep the intellect in full control, distracting us, keeping us fighting and going secular. It is the one thing that without control of, the whole house of cards comes tumbling down. It is so incredibly simple, very few can believe it, let alone accept it as true, and even fewer that implement this truth into their reality. Everything in physical creation is claimed with this one simple contract. It's the one that you take from the cradle to grave. Everyone, save folks like me, have one and will literally fight to the death to protect it. Everything is registered through it, rendering everything given away as a result, which is why those thinking something is theirs and they're fighting for it renders them in full dishonor. Honestly, how would you feel if someone gave you something and showed up later to take it back? What would people think of you if you did that all the time? They'd soon stop accepting gifts from you and vice versa. This is exactly what the system does to play us off against one another while they milk us completely in full universal, by our free-willed consent, honor. The trick is complete and all-encompassing until you catch on, and only then is the fraud on a universal scale fully revealed, where you, for the first time in your lives, have a spiritual and causal leg to stand on. This one little loophole has been controlling humanity, sucking its spirit dry, and it all goes back to the very first Hyksos pharaohs called King Mean, a.k.a. Ha, and the Narmer palette. If one has a name, one is separate from an unnameable source, disconnected from the true power of all creation. When one fully gets this, every mindless legal question becomes mute, powerless. You begin to step into the realms of pure creation you were taken from. This information is the true demon killer, and these entities know it, and why they are ramping up every manner of distraction they can muster with ever-tightening constraints. This is why the supposed free men and the like are being kept in jails, because for them to continue teaching the illusion is harmful, where they and their followers are being kept safe from further delusions. All one need do is look at everything in the mirror to see the good and the bad and the bad and the good. And how good is it for someone to be teaching legal remedies anymore? It is time for these idiots to grow up, put down their flamethrowers, and start exposing the real trap of humanity, instead of reinforcing it with their mindless greed and ego vengeance. The deceivers are everywhere, and I will not discount many who have been friends in the past as being of these ranks that infiltrate our trust as COINTELPRO agents, only to turn around and throw spiritual knives on our backs. I do not discount family, those I have loved, friends of many years, and compatriots in the collective path to truth. I see the majority of those I've worked with as either fearful idiots or decoys of deception. There is no gray area anymore since I control that center ground called no man's land. Nor are you a flesh and blood man, inasmuch as all flesh and blood in the physical is dead, with the illusion of our animating it with your spirit life force. Only the soul lives, where the physical is a finite world, decaying constantly with cells replacing themselves, because that's what death does. The physical is the shadow mimic of the soul, made to feel so real to experience this one tiny aspect of infinite creation. The name is the only thing the system has to control your soul. So it'll be up to you to accept or deny this fact. A name is no longer something attached to me, where it is only a map reference to find the true me, the true magnetic source of all, connected consciousness where intent is not needed to create. It simply is. I have done and more things prove this to all the doubting Thomases out there, and still they seek further from an external source. Only when you stand in your own truth, your own authority, will you even begin to fathom what I am sharing here in this writing. If you seek answers, then you must accept the full responsibility of that answer, especially when it runs counter to your programmed minds. This is about taking your own power back in a state of responsibility of accepting and walking in truth. Everyone can take their doubts and shove them as far up their own asses as they can, because that's all they are to me, recirculated from the same physical source they came from. I cannot tell you how to stand or even why. Those are your questions to answer. The best motivation for me was knowing that if I didn't stay true to this path, countless lives would have been harmed, and I cannot bear to be a part of that any longer. I cannot choose cowardice while people suffer, nor can I yield to the lies that have poisoned my reality for so long, once expunged from my beingness. These are the choices you must make, or do yourself a favor and save yourself bother and go to being a good little slave, fully liable for any and all harms that will result. These are the debts of sin you will be required to pay, and you will, a meat-stick Groundhog Day grinder. Only you know the tolerance levels of inflicting harm on others, and at which point you will choose to stop or continue. I made my choice, and there is nothing these little demonic soulless pieces of shit can do about it. I cannot make your choice for you, because only you know the level of evil you are capable of agreeing with, where my tolerance is now 0 point. While this may sound harsh to fragile and fearful little egos, it is my hope that it fires the true you up into finally taking the next step, seeing as you have already taken your leap of faith, bothering to show up in my reality anyway. I offer no mitten strings or skirt hems for you to cling to. You had that with Mama and Papa Whore of Babylon. I offer no quarter where none was ever given to me, to allow the golden rule its power to manifest and grant the wishes of those who have wished harm upon me and humanity as a whole. I take no prisoners, since that is what I've been for far too long, and I wouldn't wish that upon another either. The choice must be one of your own choosing, of your own volition, of your own soulness being. No compromise rules your path. It is my wish that those ready to truly awaken do so, if that is their wish, shared with my own in that uncompromising light that is immortality. We have all walked long and lonely roads in countless eons in this singular quest, where we not only found the mine, we are claiming its gold along with the return of all creation stolen by those most unwelcome and unneeded in my reality. Yes, I have things yet to do, but I know I am on my path, in my purpose and raison d'etre, and walk I will. I stand to boast. I shall never yield, and none shall pass. Was of the unconditional kind.